So I just want to make a quick video about being out at
You
work.
introduce yourself.
Shh,
You have
I'm
to
not
say
going to
this
do
is
more than one
Liam.
take.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Okay, this is Liam.
Shut up. Okay, this is Liam, and I'm making a quick video on being out at work. And the reason why I want to do this one today is because today I had to come out to a new coworker. I've been out at my place of work for like 4 months now, and like everyone pretty much has the name changed down, and about half of them have the pronouns down, and the only people who have the pronouns down is like the people who have been hired since then, because I've just been able to, say, like, what I usually do is, because I'm a part of the management team, and I work in retail, and so I always tell the new, like, cashiers and stuff, like, I'll just take them aside the first time I work with them, and I'll say something like, what do you know about the transgender or LGBTQ community? And I'll say, I'm a trans man, and so I need you to use my preferred name and address me using male pronouns in front of customers. And then I just leave it at that. And if they struggle after that, then I'll pull them aside again and explain the importance of using pronouns. Like a couple of times I've had to talk to cashiers or my coworkers and be like, when you use female pronouns, it's basically like, calling me a name, and then from there on out, any customer that talks to me after they hear you use like she or something, they do it, and so it's not like just you are saying it, it's like 20 people. And usually after I explain that, then they get it and they try harder for like the time being. And so today I had to pull a worker aside and explain to them that I'm trans. And lately it's been easier and easier, because since I pass more now, the customers usually just use male pronouns with me, and so it helps the cashiers remember. And also, unless the cashiers have been told otherwise, since I'm introduced as Liam, some of them, like, I guess it's more believable for them. And so when I first came out at work, it was really awkward. And the thing that I wanted to mention in this video is that you have to prepare yourself before you come out at work, because you are going to be asked a lot of weird questions, and inappropriate things will happen. Like, for some reason, when you come out to someone at work, they just think that you're, like, sharing this part of yourself, so you must be closer now. And so they can ask you any question that they want to, even about your genitals, which is very disturbing. And, like, I even had one coworker touch me in the chest while, like, to see what binding felt like. And that, they didn't ask me, they just, like, I wonder what that feels like, and they just reached out and, like, put their hand on my chest, and I was just like, whoa, okay. And, like, they just seem to think that because you come out to them that they're entitled to answer all of these questions. And, like, I definitely had to prepare myself to become, like, an educator at work, because for a lot of my coworkers, I was the first trans person that they ever met. And except for one coworker who was like, oh, actually one coworker told me, she's like, oh, no, I understand. My friend Karen used to be Bob. Which was kind of weird. But a lot of people think I'm just, like, a lesbian. And I had one person ask me how lesbians have sex. And I was like, well, first of all, I'm not a lesbian, but this is how they do it. And so that was that was just really weird, and people asking me about genitals, and, like, I've been asked by a couple of people if I'm gonna grow a penis. Yes, that was fun. And so you just really have to brace yourself. Like, you may think you know these people, but they will surprise you. And it can be very uncomfortable. And so I just had to remember to take their questions seriously and not get angry. Because, like, you have to have a working relationship with your coworkers. Like, if anyone ever, like, really crossed the line, I'd be like, whoa, that's not cool. That's really none of your business. And, I had to keep telling people, like, you're confusing being trans with a lesbian. And so that was just kind of, yeah, it's just kind of a taxing thing. But also some of my coworkers have surprised me in good ways. Like, I did have, there was a former coworker of mine who came into the store, and, like, she had quit before I started transitioning or came out at all, and she was addressing me with female pronouns, and then one of the cashiers was correcting her, and so that was really cool, and so it's, like, even though there are some weird parts, it's just, like, things like that, situations like that just make me feel so much more comfortable at where I work. And since I work, like, 28 to 36 hours a week, like, that's a large portion of my time, and before, I was just feeling so miserable, like, when I would be at work, and I'd get misgendered all the time, and it was just so taxing and frustrating and stressful, and it made me just really unhappy. And so coming out at work really helped because, like, especially when you're in customer service, most of your job is being pleasant. And I didn't want to be pleasant when I was being misgendered all the time. And so coming out at work really helped with that because it alleviated a lot of the problems that were, or the issues that were, really bumming me out or making me upset. And so, I was thinking about it, like, before I came out at work, and, like, why wouldn't I do something that I know would help? Even though it's scary, like, the reward was greater than the risk, I think. And, like, obviously, the risk was something that I had to assess. Like, before anyone comes out at work, they should be aware of, like, what the possible repercussions are, and, like, what legal protections they have. Like, in California, we have fairly good protection against, like, the discrimination of trans people in the workplace and stuff like that. So definitely, like, that's something you need to take into consideration before you come out in any workplace. Like, do you have legal protection if you're going to get fired for being trans? Like, what kind of people are your co-workers? Are you indispensable? Just, like, will it be easy for you to find another job? Because, that's something that I definitely worry about, and I worried about was, like, if I do get fired for doing this, what am I going to do when I find another job? Like, do I say I'm trans in the interview? Do I just keep it to myself? Or what? Do I go stealth? And so it's just something that, everyone should put a lot of thought into, and then when they can make the best decision or find the choices right for them, to just go about it in a way that makes you feel comfortable and also makes you feel safe. Like, that's probably more important than personal comfort. And so I just wanted to talk about that. And so I think coming out at work really, like, improved, my day-to-day life, and it really improved my stress management, which I think is the most important thing for any trans person, because when you're trans, everyday things are a lot, more stressful, like going to the bathroom. And so you should do anything you can to manage that stress and just make the day-to-day easier. And so that's one thing that I know has really helped me since I've begun, like, my transition. And so that's all I have to say tonight.